So I can't sleep, and you know what? I wanted to do a video because this is going to be interesting than probably more than what people think. I think for me, when I signed out for the live stream, like, okay, it would make sense to go to Jeremy Swayman as the guy against the Florida Panthers. But kind of, taking a step back and like looking at it, I wouldn't be surprised if Ullmark gets the nod, at least in game one, to start this series, and I'll kind of showcase why here. So, Swayman's career against the Panthers, not great. 3 games played, 1-1 record, 3.69 goals against average, and 875 save percentage in the playoffs. 1-1, a 3.34 goals against average, and 875 save percentage. This year, only played 1 game, and, wasn't really a great performance. So, while the sample size isn't large, and I don't think in the long term this is this big of a deal, but considering the Panthers have seen thus far in his early career to kind of have Swayman's number, it does make you pause, because Swayman was fantastic against the Maple Leafs, but historically, he's always been fantastic. There was actually a stat saying that Swayman's 950-something save percentage was like the 3rd best all-time of a goaltender in a playoff series. He was just absolutely electric. Now, when you go to Ullmark, and this is where it's going to get a little interesting, because he obviously he's played a lot more games, but in his career, 16 games played, a 12-3 record at 2.47 goals against average and a 929 save percentage. Now, if you look at the 6 games played in the playoffs, which were with the Bruins, 3-3 record, 3.33 goals against average, and an 896 save percentage. So let's say you even just kind of want to just, focus more on, his time in Boston, right? 3 years here in Boston, he's had a 915 plus save percentage. This year, he's had a 947 against the Panthers. He has played them really well. All right, I had to make a really quick edit. Let me show the last 6 games against the Florida Panthers, which was last year's playoff run. And we'll kind of go game by game here. So in the first game of the series, a 969 save percentage, fantastic. Game after that, 828, wasn't great. But then a 935, a 953. Now, if you recall, Ullmark seemed to tweak something, and he didn't look right after that game 4. So it kind of showcased in the numbers at 840 and then at 813. It was actually kind of a talking point, like, why didn't you go to Swayman a bit earlier to kind of let him get, into the series? But I'm not going to belabor that point. I mean, even this last series, Ullmark played really good. He had a 912 save percentage, made some really damn good saves. He kind of got left out to dry by the Bruins. He gets the loss, and thus that allowed Swayman to come in and just get hot. So outside of that injury, he played pretty well against the Florida Panthers. If you watch the games, you could tell he just didn't look right. And this one game he did play against the Maple Leafs, I thought he did really well. He just got left out to dry. So I have confidence in Ullmark. Now, it would make sense to just keep riding the hot hand in Swayman, but when you look into the stats, maybe it would be kind of a good idea to give Ullmark the nod, get him back into playoff mode, get him back involved, because historically, he does do really well against the Panthers. Yes, it was rough towards the end of that series last year. They had that collapse, but this year against the Panthers, he had a chip on his shoulder. And Swayman seems to have a similar case of a chip on his shoulder against the Maple Leafs. So I honestly think it might be in the best interest of the Bruins to start Ullmark game 1 and go from there. If Ullmark is horrendous, yeah, you have a great goalie to go, to turn to in Swayman. But just looking at the historical data and the success of even this season against these teams. But I'd like to know your thoughts in the comment section. Who do you believe should be the starter in game 1 against the Florida Panthers? Should it be Ullmark or should it be Swayman? I think that will be interesting to see your thoughts. I'm Captain Paul. I'll see you, yes to you, in the next one.